It was exactly 8:42 Zulu time on November 19th, 2025. In the freezing, pitch-black depths off the coast of Scotland, the silence of the North Sea was suddenly shattered by a move so aggressive it bordered on an act of war. A $200 million machine, a British P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft, was flying a routine mission when, in an instant, the world inside the cockpit turned into a deadly neon green. The high-intensity glare of a Russian optical dazzler struck the pilot's eyes, causing temporary blindness and total disorientation. In those few seconds of panic, the entire crew was at risk of plunging into the icy, churning waters of the North Sea. Beneath that surface, on the deck of the Russian ship Yantar, a sailor was likely smirking, believing they were invincible behind their wall of electronic silence and aggressive light. They thought the laser would scare the intruders away, giving them the dead time they needed to launch a secret underwater operation. But they were dead wrong. That laser didn't scare anyone. It was like turning on a massive spotlight in a dark jungle to call in the predators. The Yantar had just walked into a coordinated US Navy trap that Moscow never saw coming, marking the beginning of a deadly electronic maze where the hunter was about to become the prey. Look at the map to understand why this moment was so critical. This isn't just a stretch of cold water, it is the throat of the global internet. The Yantar was loitering exactly 45 miles off the coast of Scotland, right within the United Kingdom's exclusive economic zone. This specific area is a primary corridor where vital undersea cables like Cantat-3 and Atlantic Crossing 1 run across the seabed. These are not just wires, they are the fiber optic arteries of the Western world, carrying 97% of all financial data, personal work emails, and even the high-definition videos being streamed at this very moment. If Russia cuts these, the master circuit breaker of the Western economy is flipped. Amazon stops delivering, credit cards become useless pieces of plastic, and Wall Street goes dark. This isn't a fishing ground, it is a strategic choke point. By positioning itself here, Russia was executing a gray zone warfare strategy, attempting to locate and map the weakest points of the global information infrastructure to hold the world's economy hostage. This is part of a larger Kremlin effort to dominate the GI-UK gap, the Greenland-Iceland-United Kingdom corridor, which serves as the only lifeline for Russia's northern fleet to reach the Atlantic. The intruder at the center of this electronic maze is the Yantar, officially designated as Project 22010. While Moscow calls it an oceanographic survey ship, in NATO naval terminology, that is a polite euphemism for a cable-cutting spy ship. Operated by GUJI, the main directorate of deep-sea research, the Yantar is designed specifically to gather intelligence and prepare for underwater sabotage operations. It carries a lethal suite of multi-frequency sonar, seismic gear, and the most dangerous part of its arsenal, two deep-diving submersibles, the AS-37 Russ and the AS-39 Console, which can reach depths of 6,000 meters. Their robotic arms aren't for picking coral. They are designed to clamp onto cables and snip them with surgical precision. To counter this technology, NATO deployed the P-8A Poseidon, a maritime patrol powerhouse equipped with the AN/APY-10 radar. This radar is so advanced it can detect metal hulls and wave signatures regardless of total darkness, even when a ship like the Yantar turns off its automatic identification system, AIS, to vanish like a ghost. The Yantar has a shady past, spotted loitering near the Nord Stream pipeline just before it exploded in 2022, and it has frequently monitored submarine cables throughout 2023 and 2024. On that night, it had turned off its AIS, a way of saying, "I'm up to something shady, don't look at me," while moving in a slow zigzag pattern at 3 to 5 knots, the unmistakable signature of seabed scanning. For the P-8A Poseidon, this trick was completely useless. Using synthetic aperture radar and infrared sensors, the aircraft confirmed the Yantar's location despite the darkness. When the Russians spotted the aircraft, they panicked and activated their defensive weapons and optical dazzler system, aiming directly at the cockpit. They did this to blind the camera and the pilot, hoping to create dead time for their submersible to escape or complete its mission. This act of gray zone warfare was a fatal mistake. As soon as that laser beam was activated, it triggered a deadly chain of NATO electronic actions. The British pilot, following NATO's Iron Discipline Protocol, did not flee. Instead, he pulled back on the controls, sending the aircraft soaring upward to escape the laser's lethal range, while simultaneously dropping a series of sonobuoys and uploading the target's full coordinates to the Link 16 network. Think of Link 16 as a giant military group chat where allies share real-time data. Human eyes may have been blinded, but the machine ears of the US Navy were wide open. At the bottom of the sea, the USS Indiana, a Virginia-class nuclear attack submarine, was lying in wait. It moved into the baffles, the blind spot directly behind the Yantar's stern, where it began collecting detailed acoustic signatures of the Russian mini-sub's engines. To a sonar technician on the Indiana, the sound of the Russian submarine was as loud and distinct as a kitchen blender. Russia thought they had bought 15 minutes of silence to launch their sub. In reality, they just handed the United States the entire blueprint to neutralize them. While the Yantar's captain held his breath, another US Navy P-8A, flying in absolute silence and MCON, emission control, heard the electronic scream created when the Yantar turned on its targeting systems. This specialized variant was on a SIGINT, Signals Intelligence, mission. Its AN/ALQ-213 system didn't just record the event, it captured a live digital fingerprint, the exact frequency, pulse rate, and bandwidth of the Russian radar. The US Navy then began the psychological games. The P-8A, hiding in the dark clouds, sent a narrow-band radar pulse that brushed against the Yantar's antenna and vanished, a move known in military terms as the knock. It was a cold, digital message. I know you're there. The Russian captain, realizing he was exposed, tried a classic deception card, splitting the target. The Yantar killed its radar to vanish electronically, while the AS-37 sub below released an acoustic decoy. This decoy mimicked engine noise and drifted west, while the real sub tried to dive silently to the east, like a thief throwing a rock into the bushes to distract a guard dog. But the USS Indiana didn't flinch. Its sonar experts, trained to distinguish a torpedo tube opening from 10 miles away, ignored the ghost and executed a maneuver called a reverse track. As the Russian sonar swept forward, the American submarine slipped into the dead water just 900 yards off the Yantar's stern. The Russians were now blind, with a predator's gun to the back of their neck. Then came the ruthless three-layer judgment. The US P-8A activated active electronic warfare, using frequency-hopping tech to fill the exact Russian communication channel with high-intensity noise. Imagine the Russian captain trying to whisper instructions into the sub's ear, while the US put a megaphone next to it and screamed. Communication was severed, the AS-37 sub's telemetry vanished, and it became blind and deaf in the Black Ocean. The sabotage mission was neutralized. Finally, the USS Indiana revealed itself, emitting a single, powerful active sonar pulse. A sharp, metallic ping that rang out like a sledgehammer hitting the Russian hull. The entire crew of the Yantar froze, realizing the enemy was right underneath their propeller. Simultaneously, the British P-8A returned, turning on its searchlights and radar to sweep the Russian ship. The message to Moscow was undeniable. Your sub is isolated, your ship is locked, and we have you surrounded from the sky to the seabed. The Russian captain knew the game was over. Without a single shot being fired, they had been utterly defeated by NATO's information integration. They were forced into a humiliating walk of shame, frantically hauling their disabled submersible back onto the deck like thieves caught red-handed by a homeowner. The lasers were turned off, and the ship was escorted out of the zone by the British and American aircraft. This was a devastating victory of an information mindset over a muscle mindset. Russia used a 20th century weapon, a laser that is loud, aggressive, and visually scary, thinking that blinding a pilot would win the fight. But the US responded with a 21st century weapon, multi-domain integration. We don't need to see with eyes when we see with the electronic spectrum. We listen with sonar and we speak in data. You can blind a pilot, but you cannot hide from the digital iron cage of the United States Navy. In modern warfare, he who controls information controls reality. This interception didn't just save a fiber optic cable. It was a stark reminder that the arteries of the Western economy are guarded by the quietest, most dangerous warriors on Earth. The battle for the Arctic and the North Sea does not end here. It has merely shifted to a far colder and more dangerous phase where information is the ultimate weapon. The Golden Dome of Western security remains intact, proving that NATO's persistent presence is a cop car parked in the dark at the end of the street, ready to flip on the lights the moment trouble starts. Disclaimer: this video is based on real-world geopolitical events and military doctrines, but has been dramatized to help visualize how technology and tactics work in reality. Some scenarios and details are hypothetical. Our goal is to analyze military thinking and technology for educational and entertainment purposes only.